Hello everyone. So today we're going to do a video on how to factor something called perfect square trinomials. We're going to continue all our videos on factoring quadratics. So a trinomial is a quadratic. It's got three terms: ax squared plus bx plus c. That's a general trinomial. I have it written down right here. So keep that in mind. Now the hardest part about factoring perfect square trinomials is knowing whether or not your trinomial is a perfect square. Because if it isn't, then the method for this type of trinomial won't work for factoring it. Now, once you know if it's a perfect square, it's actually pretty straightforward how to factor your quadratic, your trinomial. So you check two things when you're finding out if you actually have a perfect square trinomial. The first thing you check is, are the first and last terms squares of another number? So like everything I do on this channel, let's start with an example. Now stay tuned, I'll do more examples even in this video, so it's worth watching to see more than one example. So you check, are the first and last terms squares of another number? In fact, x squared is the square of x, right? X squared equals x squared. So that's good. Check mark for that. Check the last term. Is 36 the square of another number? In fact, it is. 36 is 6 squared. So we're off to a good start. The first thing holds up. The first and last terms are squares of another number. Now let's check the second thing we have to know. Is the middle term equal to 2 times the square root of the first term times the square root of the third term? Square root of the first term is x. Square root of the third term is 6. So middle term, let's find out. 2 times square root of first term is x. Square root of third term is 6. Middle term, ignore the sign for now, the minus sign. So the middle term, what we have is 2 times 6 is 12x. So yes, ignoring that sign, 12x is the middle term. So we're good to go. Now, how do you actually factor it? The method's pretty straightforward. X squared minus 12x plus 36. Well, that equals, what you do is you take the first term, put it at the start. So the square root of the first term. So x squared, you put x at the start. Take the square root of the third term, put it on the other side of the brackets, and then you take the sign from the middle term, put it in the middle, square the whole thing. And our answer is, that's our factored form. It's x minus, oh, not 36, it's x minus 6 squared. Let's rewrite that. It's a little messy. So again, I'll reiterate. Take the square root of the first term, take the square root of the third term, take the sign from the middle term, put it in the middle, square the whole thing. X minus 6 squared is the factored form of x squared minus 12x plus 36. Let's do another example. I'll do it a little quicker now. But we'll keep our checklist of things we should know for our second example. I'll put it over on the side. Now here is what you do. I'll do 3 examples today. How does that sound? Next one, just a simple one. Let's do example 2, x squared plus 6x plus 9. Do we know if this is a perfect square? Let's check. X squared equals, well, x squared, I guess, but it is the square of another number, so that's good. 9 is 3 squared, so that's good. Let me change colors here. So I'm just fulfilling this checklist again. Third thing we have to know, take 2 times the square root of the first term is x. The square root of the third term is 3. What we get is 6x. That's the middle term. We're good to go. We're ignoring the sign for now. So therefore, now the factoring method again is pretty simple. X squared plus 6x plus 9. That equals, you take the square root of the first term, put it at the beginning, it's x. Take the square root of the third term, it's 3. Take the sign from the middle term, it's plus. Square the whole thing, it's x plus 3 all squared. hope you found that helpful. One more example. A little bit more of a fun one here. Or I don't know if it's fun, but bigger anyway. Example 3. This is a really important example. I'd recommend paying close attention to it because this shows us how to factor more things in general. 3x squared minus 30x plus 75. Ooh, bigger numbers. Can we still do what we need to do? Let's find out. Check, is this a perfect square trinomial? Well, the first term is not a square, actually. Not necessarily, not if we're going to keep our numbers rational, right? Square root of 3 definitely exists, but it's an irrational number. 75 as well, not so obvious if it's a square or not. But there is something else we can do, and this is the first thing you always do when you factor. I said this before in another video, I think. But the first thing you always do when you factor, and this is like super important, check for a GCF. Check for a greatest common factor. So we can factor out 3 from here. So what you get is you get 3x squared minus 30x plus 75. That equals 3 times x squared minus 10 plus 25. Ooh, interesting. So there was a GCF and we pulled it out. Now we can check for perfect square trinomial. So this square, so x squared equals x whole squared. That's good. 25 equals 5 squared. That's good. 2 times x times 5 equals 10. That's the middle term. I forgot an x here. Everything checks out. So we can factor one more line. You take the square root of the first term. Can't forget that 3 on the outside. Square root of x squared is x. Take the sign from the middle term. Square root of the third term. Square root of 25 is 5. Whole square. That is our factored answer. So 2 steps to this one. You always check for a GCF. It's going to make your life so much easier. Hopefully you found this video helpful. And subscribe if you want to see more. And thanks for watching. See you next time.